to share with you a few ways that you can interact with your notes so that you can get even more repetitions than just the three. Because we know from our notes that the more repetitions we get, the higher our retention. And so when you get to some topics that you're really struggling with, when you get to some concepts and some of those note sets that are more challenging, the more repetition that you put into that time with those notes, then the better off you're going to be when it comes to understanding material. So when we have our note set, we have our 10 and our 24 strategies completed here, and we have our 7-day strategy completed on the left side. One of the things that you can do is that you can just open it up to where you only have this one page. So my notebook's all folded backwards, and then crease your notes back the other way. And so we're sitting with our notes set like this, and you can ask yourself these questions. And you might want to go ahead and cover up this page so you can't cheat by looking at any of the summaries. And you can just ask yourself those questions as you study. So why is repetition important for retention and remembering? So I remember that we saw the graph, and if you didn't go back to your notes, then your rate of forgetting was really high, and so you lost that material. You fell below 50%. And I remember that if I can get in 3 repetitions, then I'm going to be able to remember things more. And if I can bump that up to 5 or more repetitions, then I'm going to stay way above 90%, and I'm probably going to make an A on that test. How can I use the 10-minute, the 24-hour, and the 7-day strategy for repetition? Well, I remember that the 10-minute strategy is after I take my notes, I set a timer for about 10 minutes, and then I go back in and I annotate. I circle important words. I highlight why words are important. I highlight main ideas. I star things that I think will be on the test, and then I write question marks next to points of confusion that I need to ask questions about. Okay. The 7-hour strategy, I wait about a day later, and I go back in and I chunk my notes by main ideas, and then I write questions for each chunk of information where the answers can be found there. And then the 7 strategy for repetition, I go back and get a 3rd repetition, and I write a summary that answers each question and builds that paragraph, which is also going to help answer that essential question. So, do you see how I modeled that for you? When you have questions here, you can use that study skill. Remember that this is including space practice, and I just practiced retrieval practice. And so those are the top 2. Those are the number 1 is retrieval practice, number 2 is space practice. So if I can implement those study skills, research says that I'm going to spend less time studying and remember more information. Another thing I could do is I could hand this off to my sister or my friend, my parents, and I could say, okay, I want you to ask me these questions, and I want you to check my answers in my notes. So ask me these questions and check my answers in my notes. Again, practicing retrieval practice. Now, another thing you can do to really get another repetition, maybe you did that, and so you're up to 4 repetitions, and maybe you want to do 5 repetitions. You could go right here and you could write as much as you want and do your own retrieval practice. Or you could say, okay, the key is increase repetition. And I'm going to do that by 10 minutes. And I know that's annotate. And I'm going to do that by 24 hours. I'm going to group and chunk. And I'm going to write questions. And then 7 days, I'm going to write a summary. Now, do you see how I just went back to my notes and I turned all of my notes into a concept map? So I could put a graphic organizer, I could put a concept map here, and this would be something that I would do later on. Maybe it's 2 weeks from when I took these notes, and I want to go back and test my knowledge and retrieve information. And here I also dual coded. I mean, I can put in pictures. This is completely up to you. I will not be grading you on this strategy, but it's a way you could improve your study habits if you need some support on one of the topics. I will, however, be grading your 10, your 24, and your 7 strategy for note taking assignments. So, those are just some ideas about how you might push your understanding and how you might use those notes, interact with them more, even beyond the 10-24-7 strategy. I hope this is helpful for you, and if you have questions, be sure and let